Well, this is a story all about how I slapped Chris Rock because my wife got plowed by some other guy's cocks that made her squeal. Now I lost all my money and my Netflix deals. Oh, no.
Why'd she have to be so bold?
Why'd my wife have to be bold?
Why?
Welcome to Working Crass Podcast, where we apparently do song parodies now and also talk about horse shit going on in our lives and in the world. And that includes Will Smith. It includes, crazy libs of TikTok stuff. It includes, a bit of politics, but hopefully not too political. And the goal is to be funny. The goal is to make jokes and be ha-has. Don't you want to be a ha-ha, Lauren?
I wanna make ha-has.
Do you want to be a ha-ha?
I want to be a ha-ha.
I want to be a ha-ha. And I, always grew up wanting to be a ha-ha. And, that's what I'm going to try to be today. Is a ha-ha.
Okay.
And you're going to be my hoo-hoo. I should address, if we have watchers of the podcast, the elephant in the room here. If you see my face, unfortunately, we said something on our podcast that really deeply offended somebody, and I was there was an attempt at murder.
Yeah,
there was an attempt at murdering a podcaster who just does a comedy podcast. We're just trying to. I just want to be a ha-ha, is what I'm saying here.
You see, TikTok tried to take down one of our videos because they called us bullies.
That's right.
And so we went out. And we said, we're going to be bullies. We're going to be bullies now. We're going to beat you up. We're going to beat we're going to beat all of you up.
I don't know about that. I'm just saying that I tried to do a podcast where I was attacked by a man with a knife. And it's not going to be hard to find the culprit because we only have 5 listeners. So we know the names of 4 of them.
Yeah, we do. But look, don't try and be modest. We went out trying to bully people.
Because
we are bullies. And
did I give a swirly? Yes. Did I steal lunch money? Yes. Did I give a noogie? Yes. Did I give an Indian rug burn? Yes.
Did you make him smell your fingers?
Yes.
You double yes.
Yes. Did I fart on a couple faces? Yes.
Yes. That had nothing to do with the bullying, though. The farting on faces, that was just purely for fun.
Now, all of that sounds bad, but let me ask you, did I murder? No. Did I rape? No. Did I harm? Yes. But did I harm to a ridiculous and unreasonable degree? I think no.
No, I don't
and
think so
I was harmed back. I was stabbed. That's why I have this Band-Aid here. You might see other parts of my face that have like little marks here and they're scratched up. And you might think, did a cat do that? No! A cat didn't do that. No. Somebody who doesn't like our podcast did it. And I'm not happy about it. And I want our 4 listeners to start an army, a militia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me get this straight. A well-armed militia.
Mm-hmm.
An extremely armed, and let me just say an unreasonably armed militia.
In our militia, you have to have arms.
You better have 8 arms. I want a militia of octopi. Look, I'm just saying we only have 4 to 5 listeners. We know the names of most of them.
So what you need to do is, because we have 4 to 5 listeners, is some of you need to cut off your arms, give it to one of the others, attach them, so that you have one person who's at least well-armed.
We need a mega militia. And the mega militia is a mega militia man. We need one mega militia man. And he needs to have 8 arms, and he needs to be able to fend off these attackers who attack, podcasters. We've only had a few episodes. We're not even that popular. Like, nobody's even listening to us. Why would it be so important to attack me over a joke? But it's the truth. It's what happened.
Because...
And I'm not lying, and I'm not joking, and I'm not doing a bit for the podcast. No. I really mean this. Somebody took a knife to my face in the streets over this podcast. So share it. Share it all over the internet and use this attack as a way to get listeners and supporters of this podcast, because we're going to build an unreasonably armed militia.
And Josh is being serious here.
I'm not joking.
He's not.
You think a cat did this?
Look,
I'm pointing at the wrong spot. You think a cat did this?
Look, if you've been listening or watching this podcast for this long, you've probably realized by this point there's absolutely no humor, no comedy.
No humor, no jokes in this podcast. We're like Ricky Gervais. We are statements only. There's nothing we say that could even be mistaken as a joke. We watched Ricky Gervais's special.
Yeah, we did.
And I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was really, really, really good.
Laughed the whole way through. And then you just Google. I couldn't find a specific article I wanted to talk about this about, but I would like to just show what happens when you Google Ricky Gervais right now. And to be fair, can you want to list with me some of the many topics he went over in that one? Some of the many, like, I guess, not topics, but punchline, like the victims, if you will, of his jokes, people that he went after or made fun of in the special.
I mean, he went after everything.
He went after Christians. He went after fellow atheists. He went after dogs. He went after cats. He went after Tourette's. He went after you could go on and on and on. He talked about race. He talked about everything.
Yeah.
And okay, so one topic he said recently in an interview that we were watching, he's like, oh, you can have 20. You can make fun of 20 different things, and everybody always thinks 19 of them are funny, and the one that's about them isn't funny.
Yeah, you could have a list of 20 taboo topics, and the one topic that happens to be about that group, they're going to say, all the others fine, but the one that's about me, off the table. Not allowed. Yep. Not allowed.
Yep. Maybe the best thing to read about this would be the GLAAD statement about Ricky Gervais, which, if you're watching the podcast, I did show a bunch of the articles that were being posted there. Just do it yourself, though. Go Google Ricky Gervais right now and just see how much. I mean, the volume is crazy. You can go page after page after page after page of articles written about a stand-up special and about how it's dangerous. It's a joke. It's a joke. So GLAAD responded. They said, we watched the Ricky Gervais comedy special on Netflix, so you don't have to. It's full of graphic, dangerous, anti-trans rants masquerading as jokes. He also spouts anti-gay rhetoric and spreads inaccurate information about HIV. Okay. Didn't he start the whole special with, like, irony is what I'm doing on stage, and that's when I say something that I don't mean, and we all laugh because we know it's wrong.
Yes.
But clearly, that's an anti-trans rant masquerading as a joke.
Well,
none of the other ones are anti-Christian rants masquerading as jokes. None of them are anti-dog rants or anti-cat rants or anti-Tourette's rants or anti-anything rants masquerading as jokes. Those are all jokes. But this specific part...
But for one moment, he decided, I'm going to drop the jokes and I'm just going to get real serious.
Yeah, and it's weird because people were laughing.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Yeah. Almost like he had a setup and a punchline for all of them.
It's like he had that, but he didn't. He didn't. He straight up just went into a tirade. He decided, for this brief moment in time, I'm going to stop being a comedian and I'm going to make some racy comments. Some strong takes.
Yeah. Let's be honest. If you and I started watching that special and he actually started with like an anti-trans rant about why it's wrong to be trans, morally and trying to incite violence against trans people, would we have kept watching it?
No.
I don't know. Sounds pretty funny to me. No, I'm joking. Obviously, it wouldn't. If it was authentically him trying giving an anti-trans rant, we'd be like, this isn't stand up. What's funny about it? Where's the punchline? But it was clearly just jokes. I mean, he even said this is the tough thing too, and this is what is making media look really bad. I think in all of this, what will turn out to be the truth is that this really just seeds more distrust in the media, because you can watch his special and then watch him say, I'm not anti-trans at all. You should call yourself whatever pronoun you want. And, you should go by your preferred pronouns. You should, change your gender if that's what you want to do. I support you 100%. And he's just making jokes. That's it. He supports everything about trans rights. He's not against trans people. It's not anti-trans in any way.
No, he's not anti-trans. He's just pro-jokes.
He's just pro-jokes.
Pro-jokes about everything. Nobody gets to be put on a pedestal as if you're above being mocked.
He even points out in the special that I joke about this, and trans people because I include trans people, not exclude them. But what they're arguing is the issue. They should be excluded. And then, of course, it always comes down to when you push them on this, when you kind of push them on, it's not dangerous, it's just jokes. Then they go, okay, fine, it's jokes, but it's not funny. And it's like, okay, well, do we need 10 pages of articles over a comedy special that's not funny? I'm sorry, but we don't. If we did, then I would hear about Hannah Gadsby all day because that's not funny. But no one's offended by how unfunny that is.
Well, the thing of it is that it's not like you can't make the claim that something is definitively not funny, especially if you have an audience on camera all laughing at something.
I'm wrong when I say Hannah Gadsby not being funny. That's my opinion.
You can't
that
say
I don't find it funny.
Right.
But other people are more than welcome to find it funny, and it's clear that many people do, and that's okay.
Right. And so all these people who are writing these articles about Ricky Gervais, all they need to be saying is, I did not personally find this funny. I was offended.
No, it's not funny. Which is such a weird thing to say. It's such a weird thing to say.
And rarely, I don't think there's really any other art forms that
you can just claim what's good and what's not.
Right, where you get that sort of we're going to make an objective value judgment.
And again,
that seems very oxymoronic to say objective value judgment, but it's we're going to make this definitive claim about this very subjective work.
And again, this is a thing that I feel like I might have said on a previous podcast too, but they see comedy as inherently mean and abrasive. They don't understand how joking about something is a loving thing. It can be a very loving thing, even if it seems like it's rude or arrogant. That's kind of the point. It's so that we all laugh together. It's supposed to be something to bring people together. Many people find it therapeutic to be able to joke about something. Even trans people, to hear jokes about themselves, enjoy laughing about them. It's only a small group of very vocal online activists that are angry about this. And even then, I think they're just trying to seed anger. I don't think many of them are angry about it. I think also, if you're one of those online activists that think you can speak on behalf of all of your people, like all the trans people have to agree with you because they're part of your community. I hate groups. I'm sorry. I don't want to be a part of any group because then the group gets to speak for you. I'm all about the individual and the individual's freedoms, and individual trans people are allowed to like or dislike Ricky Gervais or Dave Chappelle or anybody who makes jokes. And you know what? Several of them do. They love hearing jokes about themselves, and they hate being represented by people that imply that they can't take a joke because it makes the whole cause look bad.
Yeah. I also like in this tweet, it said that Ricky Gervais gave out inaccurate information about HIV as if all the other jokes were accurate information.
Well, who's in the Ricky Gervais audience of a comedy show going like taking notes on the HIV information, like
somebody didn't know what that was and was like, really?
Yeah.
What? I'll be.
Yeah, that's really strange.
It's so dumb because one, jokes aren't meant to be accurate information. They're jokes.
It's so strange. It's so strange. And there's trans people whose parents completely disown them and abandon them and abuse them, and they're in terrible situations. And GLAAD could give a shit about them. Let's talk about a comedy special. It loses credibility for the entire organization. Why is there no one there saying that, hey, this makes us look stupid and bad? This realistically should be a great organization to stand up for people whose, sexuality, gender, whatever might not fit what the status quo is. They might be closed out of certain communities. They might be closed out of certain opportunities. There's definitely prejudice against those groups that exists in the world, but they're not fighting the real prejudice against those groups. They're fighting this because it's a criticism of the power that they have over the public discourse.
Yep.
That's what it is. It has nothing to do with a criticism of specific trans people. He's criticizing the trans community's ability to control what the narrative is and tell us what we can and can't say. And the trans community doesn't want to give up that power. If you want to get all Marxist about it, it is all about power to them. And the whole argument here is he makes us look stupid in our pursuit of power. And he's pointing out that we're the people in power and we don't like that because we want to maintain the power we have over people. Corporations, huge corporations will just kowtow to any online mob that comes from this community.
Yeah, I would make one slight edit to what you said, and it's not the trans community itself being in fear of losing power over the narrative or over the dominant discourse. It's the activist community.
It's the activist community, 100%.
It's the activist community because the activists want power.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think there's a difference.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And then what happens is innocent people that otherwise might have enjoyed a special like this or might have enjoyed a funny podcast, then think that it's okay or then get convinced that, oh, this is bad, this is hateful, I didn't know. Now I need to start looking for other hateful things when it's not really that hateful. It's truly not. But because every media outlet says that it is, that convinces people, hey, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I should, and it's not wrong. It's not wrong to enjoy, comedy that maybe is a little more edgy or taboo. It's not wrong.
Yeah, no, it's not wrong.
And that doesn't mean you can go out in the streets of Chicago and find a small podcaster who does a silly podcast called Working Crass Podcast and start to stab him near his face. And then, so he's got to wear this. We got to fly home to Texas. I got to fly with this. I got to go to a bachelor party with this giant Band-Aid because I have a terrible scar underneath this.
Yeah. Yeah.
From a knife, from a real man who really did this.
Just simply because they were
is true.
Offended by jokes.
Verifiably true.
Yeah. It's been fact-checked. The fact-checkers checked it, and they said facts, 100%.
Anyway, we've gotten too serious about this.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something really funny. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's move on to something really funny. This is from the Daily Mail here. Fury as theater company stages naked show exploring sexuality, sexual pleasure, and queerness aimed at children as young as 5.
Well, I think there's actually been an update to this story.
Really?
Yeah.
It does say updated in April here.
I actually think the show ended up getting canceled.
Well, of course it did.
Because people were like, nah.
Of course it did. But I didn't even know about this to begin with. You'd sent me this and I haven't read it. And I'm curious as to what this naked show was that explores your sexuality. This is my pee-pee. This is my wee-wee. This is my TT. Everybody play. This is my pee-pee. This is my wee-wee. This is my TT. Everybody's a kid today.
All right, all the moms now.
The art teacher comes out and shows her breasts.
Yeah.
Shaking my breasts for the children.
No, she had them all like paper mache her bosoms.
They have a little 5-year-old boy and girl come out and go, and there's a boy and there's a girl. Do you have a pee-pee? No, I have a wee-wee. Oh, that makes us different.
Except not.
But you could have a wee-wee and you could have a pee-pee. All you gotta do is decide it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
She has a wee-wee and I have a pee-pee. I think we should switch. Do you want to switch? Yes. Okay. Then they perform a live child sex change operation on stage.
Actually, that's what this was. That's what the show was. They're like, we're going to select one lucky member from the audience, bring them on stage, and we are going to chop them nuts off.
Puberty blockers, no sirree. No puberty blockers, yes sirree. I say we should all block our puberty.
Well,
block our puberty.
And at intermission, you can go to the concession stand and ask for puberty blockers for you and your children.
Oh my God. Together, you and me will block our puberty. I don't want to be a girl no more. No, I don't want to be a boy. I don't know what I am. No, I'm gender neutral. It's becoming Cartman really quickly. I'm gender neutral.
I mean, it says it is described as a fun and silly performance about the subject of sex.
Oh my God. The family sex show has said online that there is nakedness at one point in the show. By who? All right, kids. Now I'm going to pull apart the labia. I want to show you a little something called the clitoris. Who wants to come up here and put their finger inside and feel my cervix?
Oh.
Come on, kids. Don't be afraid. It's the family sex show. We're only influencing your children. Come on.
This is Loretta. She's a chain smoker that we found standing out front before the show. And she said she would agree to show her entire hoo-ha to the whole audience for $5 and a bus pass.
She's transgender. She has a penis now. Kind of. It's an enlarged clitoris. The show has prompted outrage from parents who are considering protesting outside the Bath's Theatre Royal when it opens next month. The backlash began on social media after a user posted, "This show is aimed at children at 5 years old and up. The performers get naked. The discussion with the children is on sex, sexuality, and sexual pleasure."
Well, when I think of like, will a 5-year-old like this? I have a number of boxes that I have to check. I go, does it have fun and silly performances? Check. Does it have sex and sexuality discussions? Check. Is there live peepees and wee-wees?
Check.
And then I'm sold. I'm like, yeah, we're going.
Kids will love this.
Kids love all those things.
Yes. I just, so I guess I'm just confused. So when these activists put on a show for children and get naked in front of them, it's like, it's promoted. It's a good thing. It's a positive.
It's definitely not grooming.
It's definitely not grooming.
But when
my uncle did it, he went to jail.
Yeah, no, when your uncle did it, bad, wrong, disgusting, because he wasn't on a stage.
He needed to be on a stage in front of a group of children.
When your uncle said, hey kid, watch my one-man show, and he wasn't on a stage, yeah, of course, send him right to jail.
Oh, boy. Well, this is, that's pretty crazy. I mainly pulled this up because I wanted to make up
Well, you should read some of these things because they like gave out activities to the kids.
Where?
I think they're in those little text bubbles. Maybe it was a different article, but they had like activities planned for the kids where they would be like, "All right, draw a picture of your pee-pee," and stuff like that. You know, fun for the whole family.
Sorry, I got distracted reading this. The show imagines a future in which there is no shame, but a celebration of difference, equality, and liberation. There is nakedness, yes. At one point in the show, everyone on stage takes their clothes off to the level they feel comfortable to. Look, if you want to get your kid around naked people, just like take them to like the spa or the gym or whatever, and they go with you into the locker room, and then like they see, you know, a couple naked people. But also, if you want to take your kid around naked people, why? Why do you want to do that?
Just questions.
Just a simple question. I'm curious as to why you might want to do that. I get like, I guess like partially like, you know, kids like, you know, a kid can get scarred going into like the locker room for the first time and seeing a bunch of naked people. And nudity is like a really socially like, I don't know, uncomfortable thing where like, you know, if you go too young, it's very, very scarring. You need the right context. And also, you know, it can be very confusing, and sexuality can be very confusing.
What you really need to understand nudity, sex, and sexuality, what I think, and based off of this, what you need is a stage, Broadway theater songs.
Yes. Lights.
Stage lights.
An audience.
Tiered seating.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Turd seating.
Lovely laminated playbills.
A matinee.
An
intermission.
Yeah.
And penises and vaginas and titties.
Yeah. And I think that will do the trick.
I
think that's what was really missing from my sex education as a child, was they didn't turn it into a Broadway performance.
Come on, kids, everyone. Everybody, everywhere. Come on and look at my pubic hair. Everybody, everywhere. Come on and look at my pubic hair. Come on, everybody. Come get a handful and rip one out. Take it home as a souvenir.
Come on, everybody. Drop your pants. We're singing It's the Pubic Dance.
Which one of you kids wants to go home with one of my pubes today? Which one of you lucky parents wants to go home with one of my butt hairs? Oh, my God.
Did they tell the first row, you're in the splash zone?
And you know, because this is like really like woke progressive kind of thing, that at some point in the middle of the show they go, but some of our bodies don't look like other bodies, and they bring out an obese woman who's like, hey kids, I'm gonna show you what it looks like to be naked and be a big lady like me. And then she has to go and show, and we gotta look underneath the flaps now, because under the flaps sometimes I'll find the things. And so I'll give them away to you kids as a souvenir. She has to lift up her titties and all the flaps.
Oh, it's like a fun scavenger hunt.
That's an old tissue in there. Don't worry about that, kids. Sometimes I lose them tissues.
They're like, we're going to need like 5 to 6 kids to come on stage and lift up Loretta's back flaps.
Don't mind the smell, kids. That's just pussy cheese.
And one of you will find the secret hidden prize. It's in there.
It's the pussy cheese. I ferment cheese in my pussy for years.
Tastes great on a charcuterie board.
It makes a great fondue. Oh, man. Come on up, kids. Sometimes when you're big, you gotta shake, shake, shake your tits. You gotta get naked in front of the kids.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. All right. I could make up dumb, inappropriate sexual songs all day. All right. Anyway. All right. Next up here is something I found very funny. Couple in India sue son for not giving them a grandchild. Now, this is important, okay? A couple in the North Indian state of, can you pronounce that?
Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand. And are you guessing?
No, I am fluent.
You are fluent in Indian, and I
fluent.
actually was stabbed with a knife by a man on the street in Chicago.
Correct.
Both of those things are 100% true, not false.
I'm fluent in all Indian languages. There are many, and I know them all. So that's how you say that. Moving on.
They're suing their only son and his wife for not giving them a grandchild after 6 years of marriage. Sanjeev and Sadhana Prasad, 61 and 57, say they used up their savings raising their son, paying for his pilot's training as well as a lavish wedding. They're demanding compensation worth nearly $650,000 American dollars if no grandchild is born within a year. I mean, this is like an Onion article. This is hilarious. Their son and his wife do not appear to have committed. The highly unusual lawsuit was filed on grounds of mental harassment.
Jewish mothers everywhere are wondering how they can get in on this action.
I was going to say, I was like, are you sure this isn't a story about a Jewish couple? Suing your own son sounds pretty Jewish to me.
Literally, this is like the Jewish moms are taking notes on everything these people did. They're like, okay.
And who was the lawyer? And can I get his number? Oh, my God.
And the idea of mental harassment is definitely something a Jewish mother would complain of.
Yeah. You know, there was a lot of arguments leading up to this, too, that like, it's like, we're going to sue you. We are going to sue you if you don't have a child. Are you having sex?
I want my grandchild.
I want my grandchild.
I want a grandbaby to spoil rotten. You're not going to give that to me? What are you? What are you trying to mentally harass me here?
You're really going to do this to me and your father, Sanjeev?
You want to give me a heart attack? You want to give me a heart attack? Is that what you want?
You are a shame on the whole Prasad name. We're a proud Indian family. How dare you?
Every time I go to the temple, I pray for you. I pray for you. I pray that you will come to your senses and start loving your mother by giving her a grandbaby.
So they're like, we spent $650,000 on raising you, and so this is what you owe us now because it was all a waste. We raised you for nothing. We wanted a grandchild. We raised you for nothing. He's like, I'm a pilot now. Bullshit. You're not a father.
Anybody can take a machine up in the sky these days. That's a dime a dozen.
That's common. Everyone flies a plane. Your father, Sanjeev, flies a plane.
I don't want to be the only mother to not have a grandchild to play with. Is that what you want for me? Is that what you want? You want all my friends to have their grandchildren and I'm sitting over here with nobody?
I was born to be a grandma. Jeez.
I never asked you for anything growing up. I never asked you for anything.
And now I'm asking you for $650,000 or a grandchild born within a year. If we reach the year, you owe me $650,000, bub. This is mental harassment. They were wedded in 2016 in hopes of having grandchildren. We didn't care about gender, just wanted a grandchild. Oh, man. We paid for the honeymoon and why didn't you fuck there?
I wanted I wanted a grandchild so I could take it to the family sex show. Now I got to go alone.
Thanks for coming out and looking at my flaps. Nice Indian lady who sounds like a Jewish lady. Oh, man. My son has been married for 6 years, but they're still not planning a baby. At least if we have a grandchild to spend time with, our pain would become bearable. These are Jewish parents.
As a Jew, that may be the most Jewish sentence that's ever been uttered.
If we had a grandchild to spend some time with, our pain would become bearable. Jesus. Holy shit. Well, that's pretty funny. That's funny on its own. Now, sometimes I like to watch motivational things on YouTube and Instagram. Do you ever like to watch like things that are just like inspire you to do better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So there's this motivational page that posted this thing that I thought was very interesting, an interesting way to look at life. And, I found it very motivating. So let's see here.
What I ate was micro.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can restart this and actually have the audio play right away. This is why I fucking hate.
So this is.
When I was younger, what I ate was microwavable foods because I was single and I couldn't cook. The problem with microwavable foods is that after you cook it, you stick a fork in, the middle is still cold. The reason why Grandmama's cooking was so good because she didn't cook Sunday dinner, Sunday evening. She started Saturday night. And she let it marinate overnight. That's why it was so good. The reason why your gift is not like all these other gifts that are so microwavable is because God's put something in you that is too great. And you got to know that what's inside of you is so great that it's taking a little bit longer because God did not call you to be microwavable. He wants you to know that what's inside of you is like Grandmama's greens. So don't give up. Your time is coming.
Look. I mean, I get it. You know, it's motivational. You got to give yourself time. We're not microwave. Nothing's instant, is what he's saying. But
do you think Hungry Man Dinners like made a post saying this is anti-microwavable foods masquerading as jokes, masquerading as motivation?
It's just like it's almost fake deep. It's like it's deep, but it's not. It's about microwavable foods, so it's not that deep.
Do you remember that meme that went around that was just that lady who was like green beans, tomatoes, potatoes?
No, but that's funny. I kind of remember that.
I feel like they need to do a mashup of that. They just like need to blend them together, so it's just like
your gifts and your talents are like Grandmama's greens. It's like it's fake. It's fake deep. It's not that deep.
The problem with microwave,
it's the music behind it that makes it sound a lot deeper than it really is. It's like you are not microwavable. Try it. Put yourself in a microwave. You will bubble up. You will start to have bubbles on your hands, and then the microwaves will make your head explode. Okay.
And your penis will shrink.
Your balls will get all big and stuff, and you hop around on them like hippity hops. You can't microwave yourself. You gotta marinate yourself. Get some butter.
It's a 2-day.
Go grab some butter. Get some garlic.
It's a 2-day process. If you're gonna be microwaving, if you're gonna be cooking yourself on a Sunday, you need to start prepping on a Friday.
Come on now. You got to marinate yourself so that when you get up to the good Lord heaven, the good Lord will look down on you. And when he goes to eat you, he says, that is some tender meat. It's been marinating. I can tell it.
And you want to start with a slow simmer and then kick that up to a boisterous boil. That's what you want to do.
You want to be Grandmama's greens, don't you?
And then you got to bring it back down.
Oh, Lord.
I just like that his main problem with microwavable foods is that the middle is always cold.
You put a fork in it, but You put a fork in and it's still cold. And that's what I noticed about life, you know?
Not
I
that,
put a fork in me.
and I'm still cold.
I'm still cold. Damn, the heater's not on.
But isn't that like of all the complaints, it's like, not that microwavable dinners are like filled with processed, unhealthy preservatives and junk of all kinds.
Yes.
Not that they never look like what the packaging promises that they're going to look like. None of those concerns. It's just they don't get thoroughly hot enough.
And look, I understand why it's motivational. I understand what he's saying. It's just my point is this the take? Is this the take?
No.
You know, when you think of something deep, when you think of something and you think, oh, that's motivational, that's really deep. Everyone out there knows you don't have to say that, right? Well, sometimes keep it to yourself because it sounds goofy.
Well, I'm just saying this whole thing could have been solved if he went, every time I put my microwave dinner in the microwave and the middle is still cold, I thought to myself, it's time to get me a better microwave.
That'd be so motivational.
Like, maybe you just need a higher power microwave. Your microwave's not good enough. It's not
sometimes
strong enough.
Sometimes in life, you bought the cheap microwave when you should have splurged for the expensive microwave. Maybe even an air fryer might be a better option now.
Just put it in the oven.
You want to be Grandmama's greens, don't you? Okay.
You want to be Grandmama's green beans, tomatoes, potatoes.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next thing. On a previous episode,
that's so funny.
On a previous episode of this podcast, which by the way is called Working Crass Podcast, with Josh and Lauren. Hello.
We didn't do that at the beginning. We normally
I said your name at the beginning. Well, they'll figure it out. They better be fans by now. Our 4 listeners will get it. And our one that attacked me. Please share our stuff if you find it funny. I'm going to try to do more clips and stuff. I did 2 clips of the last episode, so maybe I'll do even more this time. But make some clips of your own and start one of those fan pages on YouTube where you upload clips of other people's things. Oh, man, that makes things so much easier for me. And get a bunch of views on that so they'll start listening to us. If you see me in the street, don't attack me with a knife. Follow us on Instagram at Working Crass Pod. Follow us on TikTok at Working Crass Pod. And share our stuff, comment, like it. Subscribe to our YouTube. We're Working Crass Podcast on YouTube. All of that can be found on our Instagram, though. So go check that out at Working Crass Pod. And let's go ahead and talk about the next thing. So on a previous episode of Working Crass Podcast, we were talking about the guy who attacked Dave Chappelle. And you originally asked me, like, was he like a trans person who was offended by the jokes? And I said, no, he's not a trans person at all, which is true. He's not trans. And I said he wasn't even offended by the jokes, that apparently he was mentally ill. He did have a knife on him, but it didn't seem like he intended to use it. But that apparently it didn't, from what I heard in recent, some of the articles that were out at the time, was that it actually didn't even have to do anything with the content of what he said. It was just a mentally ill person who was trying to get attention for their cause or whatever. And that's what they had said. Then this article comes out kind of recently that kind of proves me wrong here. So, and it's kind of interesting too, because, a lot of people were saying these were 2 separate incidences, the Will Smith slap and the Chappelle attacker at the Netflix is a Joke comedy festival here. The attacker admitted that he was inspired by Will Smith, by that slap at the Oscars.
Well, I mean, it was a good slap.
Now that's inspirational. You know what else is inspirational? When you put a fork in the middle of your microwave food and it's cold and you go, man, I miss Grandmama's green.
Will Smith would never use microwavable foods.
So they sat down, he sat down for a jailhouse interview. And he said he applauded Will Smith for smacking Chris Rock on the face after live TV. He said that's not right what Chris Rock said about his wife, calling her G.I. Jane. referencing that joke there. He said Smith was standing up for his wife. I wanted him to know that. Anyway, during the infamous smack heard around the world, it inspired Lee to to storm the stage and tackle Dave Chappelle after he made quips about LGBTQ people and homelessness. The attacker said, "I wanted him to know that next time he should consider first running his material by people it could affect," Lee claimed. "I wanted Dave Chappelle and people to know that these things are things you need to be more sensitive about and not joke about." He said his goal was to stand up for what he believed in, inspired by the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air star. So I was completely wrong in saying that it had nothing to do with that. And then also these, the people, there was kind of a thing where people were saying, "Oh, see, like this is what happens when, you allow people to tackle comedians on stage, and we have this big rhetoric against what can and can't be said in comedy, that people attack someone like Dave Chappelle on stage, crazy people." And there was a bunch of people saying, "No, there's no evidence to point to that, blah, 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 blah." Well, here's in his own words. He attacked him because he didn't like the jokes.
Yeah.
He attacked him because he saw the jokes as dangerous.
But what I'm reading between the lines...
This is exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, it is.
This is a person that watched our podcast and didn't like the jokes, and he tackled me and took a knife to my face.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't want to see him.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to see him ever again, probably, after what I did to him.
No.
That's a joke. I'm not joking about any of the rest of the stuff.
All the rest was serious, but that...
I didn't hurt the guy. But the guy definitely does exist, and this really did happen. Look. Even the guy who attacked Dave Chappelle, I'm not going to lie, it was a bit of clout chasing.
Well, there you go. That's I would say it wasn't a bit of clout chasing, it was all clout chasing. Like, that's it. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's to get attention.
He even said, "In Hollywood, they say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I rap about these things in my music and knew it would get attention."
Yeah, that's the heart of this. Not the other stuff he said before about standing up for people that are in situations that you need to be sensitive towards. No, that was all just virtue signal bullshit. The truth is, they wanted attention. They thought this would, get him some spotlight. He got his 10 seconds of fame.
He's bipolar too. He has bipolar depression disorder,
but
was on his medications at the time of the attack. So I don't know if the guy who knifed me was on his medications at the time of the attack, but I was knifed 100%, and that's what happened, and a cat didn't do it.
Well, I just want to say, this cat farted on me, and it stinks.
The
and
cat
I
that's
have
on
to,
you now? Okay.
Yes.
Get out of here.
I have to move her. Go.
Farts are natural. Farts are good. If you're a kid, get up and fart. Get up and fart now. Everybody spread your cheeks. Get up and fart now. And then all the kids stand up and fart in unison. Now you fart this note, ha, and you fart this note, ha. And then they fart in harmony together.
And they do a round?
Yes. And the leader of the show, the person who's been conducting the orchestra the whole time in the orchestra pit, stands up on the stage, looks out at the audience, and says, "Now I want to see all you kids' buttholes, okay? Because that's what we're here for. I want to see every last kid's butthole. Come on now, let's go." And parents, you're doing the right thing by having your kids here. This is teaching them about equality and inclusivity and diversity. And I'm so proud of you parents for bringing your kids here to spread their assholes and show me their buttholes today. Parents, give yourselves a round of applause for what you're doing with your kids today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, you can get yourself some of them puberty blockers out there in the lobby on your way out. We'd be selling puberty blockers. You can take them home for free. We don't care. Slip them in your kid's drink, even if they say they don't want them, you can go ahead and give them to them. There's nothing wrong with puberty blockers. And, don't listen to people who are telling you that the same chemicals used in puberty blockers are used to chemically castrate sex offenders. That's just something that they talk about, but and it's true or whatever, but I don't care. It might be true, but I don't really care. Okay, y'all go home and give them those kids some pills. All right. Now you, big boy in the red shirt up there, I don't see your hole enough. You're gonna have to spread a little more.
My cheeks are as far apart as they can go.
You're gonna have to go a little further, hon, and I'm gonna have to teach you how to tuck, boy. Jesus. All right. The last thing for today. I left my wife because I'm sick of everything needing to match her aesthetic.
What does that mean?
Well, I'll explain to you what it means. So this is from Reddit. This is from True Off My Chest. Place for people to get their personal things off their chest.
Okay.
I'll go through and read quite a bit of it here so that you can get a good feel of what it is. I know it seems like a dumb thing to end my marriage over, but after dealing with this for so long, I'm finally done. My wife and I are both in our 30s. We have a daughter. My wife's always been pretty into appearances, but it was never that bad. She just wanted things to look nice when people came over. Then she started an Instagram page for moms and got a massive amount of followers, about 400,000 since our daughter was born. Ever since then, I feel like I don't live in a house. I live in an Instagram photo shoot. There can't be any proof we actually live here. My wife stresses so much about things looking good that she doesn't actually enjoy the moment. She started a fight with me right after our daughter took her first steps because I have my drink down on the table behind her and it's all she could see and how she'd need to edit it out of the video. She called me a selfish prick for putting my drink down on a coffee table to watch my daughter take her first steps. Our daughter's bedroom is just a mass of beige and cream. There's barely any toys in it, which was fine while our daughter was small, but now she's getting older. My wife refuses to buy her any toys that don't match her, quote, aesthetic. My mother took my daughter to the store and let her pick out a toy. She picked out this dollhouse from this show she watches. She got all of the dolls and furniture, and my wife told her she has to keep it at my mother's house because there was no place for it at home. She absolutely had room for it. My wife is convinced I'm leaving for another woman. I'm having an affair, etc., but I'm not. I just can't keep feeling like I live in a museum where I can't touch or move anything. I can't even build a blanket for it with my kid without my wife flipping out that they're decorative blankets and that she had folded in a special way. I'm not going to force my daughter to live in an aesthetic. Editing in, I've tried to encourage her to seek professional help. She insists this isn't a problem and she doesn't need any therapy.
And she's absolutely right. She doesn't need therapy. This isn't a problem.
This is normal.
This is completely normal. Your home should be in service
of the followers.
Of your followers. It should be in service of making your Instagram photos look amazing.
I feel for this guy. I really do, because he has a daughter. But what he's missing here is that she has 400,000 followers. And she
has 400,000 followers that all need to feel FOMO for how she's living her life and living in her beautiful house.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't get that.
He doesn't get that. That's his problem. He wants to have a normal family where he can play with his daughter and set his drink down while he watches his daughter walk for the first time. No, she has 400,000 followers. Okay? That's more important than your life, than your marriage and your children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you have a following, when you're an influencer, you have to influence. You can't just bullshit your way. You can't just have a kid and a husband.
No, and if you have those things, they need to be props in your influencer lifestyle. They're not actual beings.
Yes.
They are props. They are tools for you to look good.
That's correct.
This guy is...
You should be portraying yourself living in a fantasy world that doesn't quite exist.
Exactly. There is literally
a fully curated
nothing wrong with this
world. Look, I bet that there's probably a lot of girls like this. I mean, this is, and now in all seriousness here, this is obvious. I feel for this guy. This is crazy. But I bet that there are a lot of women like this that, this social media, like, I could see how it's super poisonous for some people. And especially like maybe the more followers you have, the more you kind of become like this. It's like, I don't want to ever be influenced by like people on the internet. ever.
I'm just imagining these decorative blankets have like stupid, Tumblr girl motivational sayings on them, like "all who wander are not lost."
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, this is the Bo Burnham white woman Instagram music video. Like,
Yeah,
everything is laid out exactly like that.
This is if Live, Laugh, Love was a human.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Everything has to match my aesthetic.
That's such a weird word to me.
Aesthetic. Well, it's overused right now. It's really overused. It's like back in like 2015, like everyone learned it and then has used it for everything now. Yeah. It's just I'm trying to create an aesthetic, you know. Like my aesthetic is, you know what? Here's the thing is like, this is why if you don't get aesthetic, this is like why you don't get stuff now. Like, do you watch Euphoria? Euphoria is aesthetic. That's what it is. It's an aesthetic.
Yeah. It's like super.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's super aesthetic.
Euphoria is an aesthetic. It's like colors is one thing, a part of an aesthetic. It's like sadness and like just being like sad.
Uh-huh.
And then like drugs.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like an aesthetic, like smoke and shit.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, what else is aesthetic? Like flowers and shit. And like, like filters are like aesthetic. Filters can like create aesthetic.
Oh my God.
But like, and then like, what else? Like, did I say sad shit? Like sad shit, just like being sad and shit.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, aesthetic. And sometimes it's like hair, you know? Sometimes it's like panties and stuff. Like panties can be aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then like my bra is like aesthetic sometimes, and like my tits and stuff. And like high heels, that's an aesthetic, you know?
Yeah, very aesthetic.
I could go on for hours about this. I'm going to keep going on for a little while here. It's like books and stuff. Books in like a library. Yeah, that's aesthetic.
But not like a library, because that's like...
Well, that's like not a good aesthetic.
That's like...
It's like a bad aesthetic.
That's like too learning. That's like too
It's
much.
too learning.
It's too learning.
It's too learning.
It's too
But
learning.
like, isn't school sometimes like an aesthetic, you know? If you use the school with aesthetic, you know, it's kind of cool.
Like if you're standing out by the school and there's like graffiti on the wall or something, that's aesthetic.
Olivia Rodrigo, that's an aesthetic. That 100% is just all aesthetic. Because it's like, I look a certain way and there's the filters on my videos.
Yeah. That's aesthetic.
Sometimes I feel aesthetic, but sometimes I don't feel so aesthetic.
Some days I like...
I went to the doctor. They told me I have aesthetic.
I went to the doctor. I said, some days I feel aesthetic, but some days I don't feel aesthetic. So can I like... I don't know.
The doctor said, like, I have to use something like insulin because I'm, like, diaesthetic or something.
Yeah.
I'm diaesthetic.
I'm, like, trans-aesthetic. So, like,
trans-aesthetic.
I was one aesthetic.
Trans is an aesthetic, though.
It can be.
It can be.
But, like, I'm trans-aesthetic, which is, like, I went from one aesthetic to another aesthetic.
That's right.
And, like, I had to take aesthetic blockers for a long time.
I had to get used to an aesthetic blocker.
Yeah.
Because, like, I didn't want to be...
I can't see that old aesthetic because it really triggers me. Because it's, like...
Aesthetics
it's not
can be very triggering. Aesthetics are super triggering.
They're triggering.
Heaven is, like, an aesthetic, but, like, hell can be an aesthetic, too.
But, like...
Church is not an aesthetic.
No. Like,
but, like, jewelry and stuff, that can be aesthetic. And, like, lipstick.
That can be aesthetic. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes my makeup is aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, sometimes when you have like a daughter and a husband and you like completely just rule them out of your family and your life, that can be aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, your husband puts a cup on a table and you tell him to take it off. That's aesthetic. You know, having a family in constant ruin and argument, that's aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, just sometimes in like a movie, like with girls, like their eyes like this. Here, I'll show you. I'll show the camera too.
Show the camera. Show the camera your
eyes. This is aesthetic. Like when you make these eyes.
It's like sad eyes.
It's like sad eyes.
It's like sad eyes. It's like sad.
This is like also, aesthetic.
It's like sad, but also kind of like flirty. Like I'm sad, but I have a story, and you should ask me about it. Right? Like I'm kind of naughty, but I'm sad.
I'm sad. That's aesthetic.
That's aesthetic.
Well, you know,
What's not aesthetic?
oh, I said church. Like Battleship, the game where you play Battleship, you say A1. That's not aesthetic.
Yeah, not aesthetic.
It's like boxing and shit. That's not aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's like George W. Bush. No, that's not aesthetic.
Republicans, not aesthetic.
Republicans, not aesthetic.
Democrats
aesthetic. All right, what did you learn today?
I learned, and this is really, really important, and I hope that our followers really go out and feel like they can conquer the world because of this. And it's that you don't want to pop yourself into the microwave and just call it a day, because you're never going to get fully cooked. You just won't. You will be cold inside if you try and microwave yourself.
That's correct.
But if you spend 3 days of preparation and properly marinating and basting yourself and doing a nice slow roast, you'll be cooked to perfection, and you'll be able to do anything that your grandmama could do and more.
Wow. Your grandmama or her greens.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So that's what I learned.
That's deep. That's really deep and motivational.
It's really what we all learned.
Now, what I learned is to watch my mouth on podcasts, because, you know, if I start to come across as hateful or like a bully to any specific group, you know, these people might just come up to me in Chicago, where we live here, and fucking come at me with a knife at my face. And if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, I have cuts all over my fucking face from this guy. And it's not a joke, and it's not a bit. And so what I learned was that I should just watch my mouth. If I don't want this to happen again. You know, I got to stop targeting certain groups. And it's something that, Ricky Gervais has taught me now. And this, Chappelle attacker guy has, kind of taught me now that we've talked about this, is like, you know what? Certain groups shouldn't be joked about. And they really just shouldn't be. There's nothing funny about joking about these groups. It can only be hateful to joke about these groups. And I say we exclude them.
Yeah.
I say we entirely exclude them from conversation. So that way nobody gets hurt. I just don't want people to get hurt.
Yeah. No, I think you make a valid point. Exclude them. And then if you're thinking about doing that joke, don't pop that joke in the microwave, because it will never warm up. It will never warm up your audience.
That's correct. So listen.
You need to simmer that joke.
Listen. If you are a trans activist who doesn't like comedy about you,
you're probably not watching this show.
Probably not watching this show. But more importantly than that is that you're going to be excluded from all of the jokes from now on here. And we're going to exclude you because that's what you want. And guess what? Trans activists, you're no longer aesthetic.
You're not aesthetic.
You're not aesthetic anymore.
You're not aesthetic.
You used to be aesthetic.
But now you're not aesthetic?
You fucked it up. You fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.